Hi, welcome to Educator.com's AP Music Theory course. This first lesson is note reading. So the lesson objectives for this lesson are to learn the note names on the piano keyboard, learn to name the notes on the keyboard, and then learn the note names on the musical staff. And we can use our knowledge of the piano keyboard to help us learn the notes on the staff. So let's take a look at this piano keyboard graphic. And the first thing to notice about it is that one thing that can help us remember where the notes are on the piano keyboard is that it's not a symmetrical layout. So we've got these two black notes here, and then a group of three black notes. And this is the kind of disposition that repeats over the course of the keyboard. So we can know that this first white note here to the left of this group of two black notes is the note C. And then from there, we can just go up alphabetically until we get to G. So C, D, F, G. And then, of course, we have the notes A and B and back to C on this white note here. So best way to remember the notes on the piano keyboard are to be familiar with these groupings of 2 and 3 black notes, and to know that C corresponds to this first white note next to the two black notes. And let's look at where these correspond to on the musical staff. So if this was the middle C on the piano here, so middle C. On the staff in the treble clef, we can find that middle C here. And then, of course, going up, we'll have the same notes that we did on the white note to the keyboard. So C, so here's C, here's a D, here's an E, here's an F, here's a G, and then A and B. And of course, we can continue this forever. So C, D, E, F. And on the bass clef, we can find this middle C on the piano here. So this was middle C on the treble clef, and this is middle C on the bass clef. And now we can move down, which means we should go backwards through this alphabet. So C, B, A, G, F, E, D, and back to C. So this is, of course, not a full piano keyboard graphic. So this middle C would actually be, if you were sitting at a piano, would be the C that you would most likely be sitting right in front of if you were centered on the keyboard. So if you're not sure which one that is, you can count the C's from the top and from the bottom and find the one that's in the middle. And luckily, there's a few memory aids we can use for learning the notes on the staff. So in the treble clef, one thing that helps is to know that the spaces spell the word face. So this first space is an F, and this second space is an A, and this third space is a C, and this fourth space is an E. So this is just a memory aid to kind of get things started and get you more familiar with the notes in the staff without always having to picture the piano keyboard in your head. And then for the bass clef spaces, we find that, I should start this down here, that the word face is just starting on this bottom space. So we have an F here, an A here, a C here, and an E here. So I'll label these as well. And so it's the same exact word, just in two different places on the staff. So if you had a note up here, like this G, maybe you would want to think about this space as being an E and then just counting up E, F, G. And similarly to find all the lines, so if you knew that somebody was asking for this note, and you know that this is an A, or that you knew that this was a C because of the word face, then you just know that this is, of course, a B. And then another thing to consider on the staff is the ledger lines. So we should get comfortable learning the ledger lines 3 up and 3 down on both staves. So we should know these 3 and these 3, and then in the bass clef, these 3 up and these 3 down. And luckily there's a few other memory aids we can use for these. So these ones spell the word ace, which is just the last 3 letters of face again. And this one is the first 3 letters of face, F-A-C. And then in the bass clef, the upper ledger lines make a C major triad, so it's C, E, G. And then the bottom ledger lines are the same as the upper ones in the treble clef. So again, it's ace, A, C, E. So a great thing to do would be to make flashcards for ledger lines and include a clef and a note, and then just get used to recognizing them quickly. About 1 per second is a good goal to reach. So again, we can find this note by looking here and knowing that it's a C, and this one here is an A. Okay, for our first example, let's say we're asked to find a series of notes on the treble clef. So we'll just blacken some note names here. So here. Okay, and we can find these in a few ways. First, I can use the piano keyboard. So I know that here are my 2 black notes. So this white note here is a C, and then I can correspondingly find all these other notes. So I'll write them in: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And I know that this C is here on the treble clef. So now I can find this A by counting up from this note here, or this note here that I know is a C. So we'll count up C, D, E, F, G, and so we find that this is an A. And then I see that this note here is how many away from this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can go, for instance, and go to the piano keyboard and count up from A 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and find that it's an E. And now from this E I can count down 1, 2, 3 notes, so I can either think in my head E, D, C, B, or I can just look on the piano keyboard, so E, D, C, B. And now I have to go from this B down, but actually if I remember back to this middle C, it's much easier to see that this note is just 1 step above that, which means it's a D. And for this last note I can count up D, E, F, G. Okay, for example 2, let's not use the piano keyboard. Let's use our little memory aid. So let's say we need to find these notes. So we can write in the word face along these spaces. And so the first note is on a space, and we know that it's a C. The second note is just right above this E, so it's an F. And this note is just below this F, so it's an E. And here's one right below the A, so it's a G. And the last one is just a step below this C, so it's a B. Okay, for example 3, let's look at some notes in the bass clef. And let's continue using our memory aid, which is F, A, C, E. So, and let's just blacken in some random notes. Okay, so this one is an E. And then now we should count up from this E, so E, F, G, so here's an A. And this one is just a step above this C, so it's a D. And this one is just a step above this A, so it's a B. And now this one is below this A, so it's a G. And for the last example, let's be in the bass clef and go back to using the piano keyboard. So I will black out some notes again. And let's see, so we know that if this was middle C, it would be here. So we know that this is a C, middle C. And we're going to count down, so C, B, A, G. And then G, F, E. And then this is just up a step, so it's an F. And then F, so let's look here, so C, D, E, F, so we're going F, E, D, C for this note. And then up a step, of course, from C is D. And so those are the two quick ways to get started learning note names on the staff. And don't forget to apply these to ledger lines as well. All right, thanks for watching Educator.com's AP Music Theory course. See you next time.